Welcome back to the Snow Point Cast. Today we're going to be looking at a game between myself and Trevor Read again, the classic matchup in this channel, seems like, for now. Well, for now, anyway, unless we get some more people down. It's kind of tough with COVID to get some people that don't live in Victoria to play some Pokemon, but maybe soon eventually. So anyway, I'm going to be on the right playing Kingdra, and then Trevor's going to be on the left playing Palkia Lock. Palkia Lock, definitely a much popular variant in 2009. It did really well at the World Championships. I think it had like something like top 8 finishes. It was definitely the the more dominant SP deck just because of how aggressive Mesprit Lock can be. And I think, if I remember correctly, in this game, the Mesprit Lock gets shown off like really, really well. Trevor just has an opportunity to chain some Mesprits, spoiler alert. Yeah, so going for a setup, I hit my basic. Trevor's still going to draw. I think this matchup, it could come down to either, the Kingdra, if the Kingdra player is able to pop off and get like a turn 1 Kingdra before they get locked, then it's like super doable for sure. But if you get locked, it's really tough because you rely pretty heavily on Claydol and Uxie. If you have a good Kingdra list, you should be playing like 3/3 Claydol and like at least 2 Uxies. So it's kind of tough when your main support Pokemon are getting shut off by Mesprit. But alternatively, I mean, like, Kingdra is a stage 2, so it does have a little bit more HP against basic stuff. I mean, like, you 2-shot a Palkia, that Palkia level X there. Trevor's got a Mully, which is clutch. We take those. So I mean, you 2-shot a Palkia, which is like decent if you have the discards. The thing is like you have to get the discarded cards though. So like if they lock you out of cards drawn, like you might not have the 2 cards to discard with the Kingdra. So yeah, this matchup can be a little bit tricky, but I think I do a pretty decent job with what I have. The thing about Kingdra that I've been finding, because I played Kingdra a bunch this game, and I just been playing around with it lately, because it's one of the decks that I think is like, it did well at Nats and then did not so well later, and I was just curious why, and I found out why. It's because Nidoqueen is like so good. I think that's like the main reason that it fell off so fast. Like, it won UK National, Sami Seikun won UK with it, I think, and then it just like was nowhere at Worlds. And that's just because I think that the deck just like, as soon as people figured out how good Nidoqueen was and like how good like healing was against, like, it turns you down to 40 because you go like hit them for 60 20 minus 10 in between turns from Eternal Comfort, and then you take like 10, so it's like 50 and 10, and then the damage on the bench is deleted back to you, so you're doing 40 for 2 discard, which is like pretty awful, to be honest. So yeah, Trevor's gonna go for a Mully switch. Just kidding, not an actual Mully switch. He's just switching his basic. No mulligans for Trev because I didn't Mully. So he goes to the Crobat start, and I get to start a Horsey. Go for the flip, and who's going first? Did the reflip? I think I like flipped the coin before asking. Trevor always calls head, so I think he's gonna go first. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so Trevor goes for a Roseanne draw. I mean, it's decent. Oh, and he starts the call too. Wow, this is decent. Definitely a really, really solid start from Trev. I guess to keep the Crobat in his hand too. Wow. This is solid from Trev. Not really what you're looking for. I mean, he really wanted to have a Mesprit this turn, so I'm gonna find a turn for abilities this turn. So if I'm able to pop off, and then Trevor's gonna go for the call. Call 2 Pokemon. Search your deck for 2 Pokemon, and then put the Money Branch. Really, really solid. I mean, if you have a call and nothing else, at least you're finding Pokemon, right? Especially in a format with Claydol, like, finding your Baltoys is really, really important. So call's a great card. Not that this deck plays Claydol, but just as an example. Like, this card plays lots of other things, but yeah, we'll go for a Raichu and a Palkia. I like that a lot. Yeah, so I hit a Roseanne's there. I got a water attached in the Horsey as well. Maybe potentially going to be able to hit a Kingdra this turn if I hit like a Candy and a Kingdra, or BTS and Seedra and a Kingdra. You can play trainers on your turn 2 in this format, not on the very first turn, but on the second turn. Like, I'm going second, so I can play them on my first turn. So you're going to go for a Baltoy and an Uxie. Classic. Gonna try to draw some cards here. Maybe hit the Candy Kingdra. Would be cool. Or even like, Broken Time Space Claydol. There's a lot of things that you can hit with this deck that can just let you pop off. Really depends on what you draw, though. That's one of the things that I think is kind of a weakness about this deck, is like, if I whiff off this, it's like, ooh, it's not very aggressive, and it's like, I don't know. When your opponent has turns to like set up a board and attach, this deck gets a lot weaker, because you want to be like you like Warp Point their active, kill it, and then like put 20 on their bench, and then they'll have like one other bench Pokemon, and that's when like Warp Point's so good, is because you like, since you hit the like busted Kingdra turn 1 and you got to kill their active down to 2 Pokemon, then it's like they have one decision of what to put active, and then if you find a Warp Point next turn, you can just choose what you're attacking, and then like you kill their Baltoy, and then all of a sudden they don't have a Claydol. And that's when like this deck can do really well, is when they just like take out a Claydol or take out a basic Pokemon with an energy. It really depends on what your opponent's board looks like, but Definitely have a lot of options. Drew with gonna go for the Unknown G first, just to thin out the hand a little bit. Not really useful in this matchup, so may as well play her down. It's another Pokemon with powers too, so it's just gonna be dead regardless. So I may as well get out of the hand. Thinning is really, really important. And Unknown G, you can do a lot with G. Oh. Busted Candy Kingdra, yo. Sweet draw Uxie for 2. That's so funny. I was just like, I remember I was like, look, there's another game where I play Mother Gar, and I do like an Uxie for 2, and I hit double Pokedraw. My Uxies for 2 are just like insane for some reason. And yeah, so I hit the turn 1 knockout here, really, really solid. I mean, what a luck sack. I could have went for the scoop up on the Baltoy, but it's also like, what's the point? I mean, maybe draw one more card, but it doesn't matter. Always lucky, dude. Hit that Candy Kingdra. So ridiculous. I forgot that happened. It's just like so funny. I can just draw whatever I need off an Uxie for 2. It seems like I'm cheating. I'm not. I'm just like God drawing. I shuffled super well, I promise. And like Trevor's put in kind of a weird position here because he doesn't really have much that he wants to promote here. He wants to use the Raichu for later. It's a pretty good attacker. It's got Fur Retreat, of course, but like if he doesn't find another basic Pokemon this turn, he doesn't really have a good active this turn. I could either kill the Raichu or hit the Palkia, and then I just one-shot the Palkia before he even is loaded up. So my board's looking pretty good here. I got a lot of stuff going. And then next turn I might be able to hit like the Claydol if I have a Bebe Search. Ooh, Trevor's gonna go for a Cyrus Conspiracy. Super solid SP staple. Probably gonna get like, it depends what's in his hand for sure. But definitely gonna get an Og. Well, I don't know. He could get like, it depends what's in his hand. If he has, because like the Raichu's not really doing it this turn. He has to like attack with the Palkia first, which is like kind of suck. And I built all these decks. These are my 2009 decks. And I did think about how this matchup would play. And I think that it's like very much down to like, you have to hit a Palkia spread with Raichu so that you can stream attackers. I mean, unless you can get a Mesprit lock really early. He missed the turn 1 Mesprit, so it's like kind of unfortunate. But I mean, if Kingdra is just able to overpower you and you things get like 2-shot or 1-shot, especially when this 20 snipes are staying, it just means that you can get overpowered by Kingdra. That's one of the only ways that Kingdra can overpower a deck, really. But if they get there, some decks can handle it and some decks really can. That's one of those decks that can't really handle it as well as like a Flygon can, for example. Like Flygon get a lot of Pokemon knocked out and just like night maintenance, whatever. Like I play a long game anyway. I've been milling you. I don't really care. But yeah, Palkia. Gonna go for a Roseanne here. Probably gonna grab like an Agua, maybe a Mesprit, just to block the Claydol for next turn. I've got 4 cards in hand, so if Trevor hits the Mesprit lock, I only have 2 out of the 5 to decide from, which kind of sucks. I mean, keeping 3 of a 5-card hand is, it's like fine, but I'd rather ditch stuff that I want to keep for later and then maybe draw more cards that I just want to discard this turn. That's kind of the cool things about Kingdra is you can kind of just go all over the place with it, whatever you want to do, right? Like if you need more cards, I just need to hit with this Kingdra. Now that I have a Kingdra, I just need to go, boom, hit, discard cards that I don't want. Oh, interesting 2 choices. Okay, must already have the water in hand. So he goes to the Toxicroak and the Mesprit. I do like the Mesprit for sure. But the Toxicroak's an interesting option as well. I kind of like that as well. I mean, if he's got like a Psychic Energy in his hand, which he might have something like that, but interesting. I mean, yeah, that's a decent option. It's 1 energy attacker that it hits you for revenge knockout. So, and then it poisons as well, which is definitely decent. But I do still have the Super Scoop Up, just because I've been able to play that a little bit conservatively, which is pretty nice. Being able to hold your Super Scoop Ups, not having to use them to aggressively set up. Like if you whiff Kingdra, you usually have to use them on like a Claydol, and then drop the Claydol again to use Cosmic again. Or an Uxie, right? Like it just picks up cards. It always draws you cards pretty much as long as you have a broken time in play. And when you don't have to use that to set up, it's really nice because you can just play conservatively with them, say, I'm going to hold them, and then as soon as they attack your Kingdras, you're like, no. Like, I had this attached from an Uxie turn before, now I'm just going to, scoop up. Or just if you have another Horsey, you just go to the other Horsey and then evolve them all down, and that's pretty good. So he goes to the Flash Bite here. Hit the Kingdra. Okay. I like that. He doesn't have the Psychic in hand. It's interesting. Huh. He might just be satisfied with going for the water attach on Palkia this turn. I mean, if he's able to just like kill the Claydol, because I only have 1 Balto in play, so if he's able to like power lock it and then kill it next turn, then it's like not too bad. Goes for the power lock with the Mesprit. Psychic Bind, really solid power, super good. Honestly, one of the best powers, but the only reason this card isn't played as much is because this format's bench space is so tight. Like, you have to be so restrictive with your bench because there's so much. Like, Trevor's just thinking, he's like, I gotta drop this Uxie right now. One of the nice parts about Palkia is you don't have to be as restrictive because you do have what's that? It's like lost remove or something. No, that's Dalgas attack. Whatever zone. I don't know. I'll put the card up. That level X ability. But yeah, so it's gonna Uxie for 5 cards here. 1, 2. Hits a G, luxury ball, SP radar, water, and another water. So yeah. Trevor doesn't really have anything great to do this turn. I mean, he's probably just going to put the Uxie up or the bat, depending on... I mean, I don't know if he has a Cyrus in his hand with the other 2 cards, but might be able to Poke-turn it or want to Poke-turn it. Who knows? Or maybe he's thinking with a Toxicroak too, because I'm at 110 HP right now, so if he hits me with the Croak, then it's 170 to my turn with Poison. And then I die 1, 2, 3. I mean, I die in between turns unless I get like... I could get built up for damage and then snipe killed with the Palkia as well. Palkia, next turn, if he has a water and an energy gain, he can just hit me for 50 and snipe the bench, or like warp point and do that. So I go for the discard of a Night Maintenance and a Candy. I don't love that, to be honest, but it's like fine. It's important that I kill this Raichu this turn. Raichu is a pretty good counter against Kingdra and getting it off the board, especially if it's his only free retreater too. So he's got to hope for the scoop up flip with the Toxicroak. Oh, just kidding, guys. Crobat. I'm an idiot. Does have the Cyrus though, so that's clutch. He's definitely going to be able to attack this turn, which is super, super solid. Means that, okay, so yeah, his math is actually really good. So he's mathing me up to kill with the Palkia with another Crobat. So he goes 20 with the first 2 Crobats, and then, unless he's going to attack with the Croak, which is decent too. It's not bad. If he attacks with the Palkia and I have like bat, then he just dies, which is pretty bad. So I mean, the safe play is Croak. The nice part about Toxicroak, Leap Away is such a good ability. When you attack with it, you can... Or after you attack with it, if they don't kill you, you can just like flip a coin and then maybe just heal all the energy off. And since he attacks for a single psychic and an energy gain, you can just put him back in the hand until you need him, and then your opponent can't just like, Luxray, Bright Luck him up and kill him or something. So Trevor's got a Luxury Ball here. Gonna go in for a... I wonder what he's gonna get. Maybe an Uxie or another Mesprit? Yeah, Mesprit. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, super solid. Keeping these Psychic Lock. I did have the Claydol, but, not really useful when you're Psychic bound. It's like, I was going to make a bad country song joke, but that's fine. So he goes for the Psychic Bind on, not yet. He's going to drop the G first. Smart. Very smart. And he's putting on the Mesprit because he knows that when he has the Palkia to use whatever that ability is, I don't remember what the ability's name is, to like discard it off the bench, he's also getting rid of the guard, so he's just thinning his deck even more, which is great. And it gets Lost Zone, so it's not even the discard. I can't even, if you have to Night Maintenance, you don't have to maintenance it back, although, it would have been nice. So Trevor's gonna go for the what's it, something Revenge, Poison Revenge. Yep, Poison Revenge. So he's hit me for 60 and then 10 poison, so I got 40 HP left, and this is where the scoop heads. Hey, we take those. Lamau. Would have been clutch to have a Horsey first. I mean, maybe I should have just... I think I might have had... Yeah, I can just take that. I'm trying to think if I had like another... I have a War Point, so this is like fine. I don't really want to hit the Croak anyway, because you can just heal it. This is... Yeah, I should have done this way differently. I should have... Unless I'm going to use the War Point. Oh, actually, Psychic Restore here is like, okay, I hit Croak for 40, and then next turn I'm able to kill it, and then I also get a Nuxie back in the deck. That's kind of the cool part about setting up knockouts with Psychic Restore is you get to... I mean, if this is going to be a 2-shot anyway, it's like, may as well not... Well, actually, I don't know. Getting the snipes on the Palkia might be clutch, but it's also... I don't know. Interesting choice. I think having the option, I could have Roseanne's first and then seeing if I hit the scoop up, because then if you're gonna get a Horsey anyway, which I was, then like maybe you keep that option to maybe just put up another Horsey and then evolve if you want to, but didn't do that. Don't know if that was optimal. I think I might have could have maybe played that better. I think maybe just hitting the 20 on the Palkia is just like good, So it goes for the Leap Away, and like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't particularly matter what you hit the Croak with, but that 20 snub on the Palkia, if he goes to attack with the Palkia this turn, which he will, now I have to hit I don't know if I had the candy in my hand is the thing, which is I might not have the candy. So, that was probably what happened. And then I was like, well, may as well just hit this and get the X back. Yeah, that's probably fine. If I didn't have the candy in hand. And I was Psychic Lock, so I couldn't Cosmic Power. Yeah. That was like probably the correct play, actually. Yeah, Trevor's going to find the Palkia level X. Palkia SP level X. Lost Cyclone. That's what the name of it is. I just like I'm seeing on the video now. Lost Cyclone. I don't know if you can read that. Shout out to if you can read that small. 2020 gang. You can hang. Eat your carrots, kids. Yeah, so Lost Cyclone, really good at opening up your bench. You can just like Lost Zone 2 of your bench Pokemon. And then it opens up for more Mesprit locking because that's pretty solid. Or, drawing more with Uxie or benching more with Crobat. It really depends on what you need depending on the board and whatever. So it goes for Mesprit and an Azelf. I almost said Esprit and a Mazelf. Mazelf, dude. Yeah, so I don't know what he's got prized. Maybe the 4th Mesprit potentially because then he can go like next turn he can go Time Walk for the other Mesprit and then... Time Walk for the 4th Mesprit and then Psychic Lock or Psychic Bind again, which is like quite good. And yeah, so this is kind of tough when you don't have the candy, but I guess keeping the Kingdra is better because now I can potentially I can't because I just like got Psychic Binded again. This is where this gets really deadly too because like next turn you can Hydro Shot me, and then just Gap me. So, I missed what Trevor took, but that's fine. Oh, the other Mesprit. Yeah, that makes sense. 4th Mesprit, of course. Like I thought. Makes sense. Usually you want to get the other Mesprit out. This is just a classic consistency part of the deck. I mean, if you want to hit Mesprit 4 turns in a row and you only have 3, then getting one on the prices with Essel seems pretty decent. And so, yeah, he's going to go for the 50, the K on the Horsey, and then the 10 on the Claydol. And I put the Claydol active. That's a good idea, I think, because it gives him not a ton of options. Like, if he wants to hit it for 50 and snipe the bench for 10, that's like fine. Oh, I had a 2-shot, that's actually okay too. But I have a Warp in my hand too. It's really too bad that I don't have like a Seadra. That'd be really cool. I could just go pop, pop, pop. Unless that is a Seadra. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's like another Kingdra maybe. I think I have 2 Kingdras. I don't know. Okay. It's not bad. That makes sense. Drop the water and Smokescreen for Tails. Just kidding. You flip. So I don't even flip. That was a false flip. I thought it was like I flip, but it's actually not true. Your opponent flips the coin when they attack. So maybe, or no, I'm going to reverse thrust instead. I think that's like kind of better. Not that it like really matters, but I mean, maybe if you hit like 1 bat tick on the Crobat and then a 60 shot that kills it. Might come into play later. Who knows? You want to keep the bat on the board just because you can poke turn it, and you can't really poke turn that sprites. Although you can return Uxie with Psychic Restore. So yeah, Trevor's going to go in for a Cyrus Conspiracy here. Probably going to grab like a Agua, a Water, maybe a poke turn, maybe... Yeah, maybe a poke turn, did you say? Maybe a Power Spray. Yeah, there's a Power Spray. Power Spray, Aaron Psychic. That makes a lot of sense. So the Power Spray is good. It just meaning, he has that option to keep the Psychic Lock going. If he has Aaron's, it means he probably has another Cyrus in his hand, or he plans to like do a shuffle draw soon, maybe. So yeah, he goes for the Psychic Attach on the Palkia. Hydro Shot, 2 water, 2 colorless, and then you discard 2 water energy attached to Palkia, and you get a snipe for 80 somewhere, which is really, you can hit the Horsey or the Claydol. Both of them are actually pretty good options. If he's going to Psychic Lock me again, then hitting the Horsey is probably actually better, because then if I top deck the out to hit the Kingdra, then he won't be able to just snipe it and kill it. So we'll see what he's got here, see what he plans to do. He can definitely Hydro Shot whatever he wants on the board. Probably, maybe going to go for the Claydol, who knows. Probably going to go for the Horsey though, because if he does that, then is it 2 energy or 2 water? I'm not exactly sure. I'm just going to look it up right now. I'm pretty sure it's 2 water, so I don't know if the play that he just did was okay. It might be 2 energy, I might be wrong. But definitely important to keep track of the little things like that, because if it comes up, 2 energy. Okay, yeah, he's good. No, he's super good. I was wrong. So yeah, discard 2 energy attached to Palkia SP level X. So yeah, he discards the Psychic, and then he kills the Claydol. Interesting decision. I do drop the Duskull, so Dude Skull's saving my life right now. I'm not just going to lose the game next turn if Trevor's able to get a water and get the knockout. Yeah, we'll see. So he goes for the Lost Cyclone and gets rid of his Mespritz, which is, it's so good. You just get to have an open bench as much as you want. And, like, depending on what you want, you can just, like, you can overbench the whole game with this deck, which is, I think, one of the reasons it's so powerful is you have unlimited bench in some ways, as long as you have a Palkia level X out. So yeah, Trevor's going to go for the Cyrus. Thought that he had the other Cyrus in hand with the Aaron. So the conservative call, I mean, if you're going to go for another supporter, may as well be a supporter that's going to help you get Pokemon on the discard. He's probably planning at that Raichu. The Raichu is going to be, just move to the top of his discard pile. This is kind of a read you can do against your opponents in a game. I mean, Trevor and I are just playing a casual game, so he's just like getting it. But some opponents are just like not conscious of the cards that they play and how they play them. Like on your turn, they can be looking at their hand and then like they'll look at the discard and they'll move a card from the discard to the top. And they'll like that's information that you can like analyze from your opponent. So be like, oh well, I mean, I already know that he has an Aaron's in his hand, but there are some tells your opponent can have unintentionally, like when, especially in a format like this format, you have to show your opponent cards all the time with Cyrus and all that. But there's not as much search in other formats. There's a lot more draw, so it's kind of like you have to kind of play out what your opponent is thinking. Like for example, in 2014, I'm gonna like go for an aside quick, but in 2014, Dark Patch is an example of that. So players would like move the dark energy in their discard to like the top or to the bottom based on their hand, and you could kind of tell like if they had a dark energy in their hand and maybe end them or a dark patch in their hand rather, and maybe end them out of their dark patch, really depending. So I do hit the Cedar here, really clutch. Bebe search for the Cedar. It means I'm gonna be able to hit some damage this turn, and I think that maybe hitting the 20 on the Palkia, I think that might have been good. I guess I didn't have the Seadra, and the Uxie might come into play later as well, because like oftentimes I feel like you got a double Ux. Where's the Broken Time Space guy? There it is. Yeah. No cheating here. So yeah, just gonna hit you for 4, which is not bad because it just means it sets up next turn for a Dragon Pump to KO. Yeah, Dragon Pump's hitting for 40. I don't really have the cards in my hand to discard either. So if you can't really afford the discard, sometimes you have to play it conservative because you can't just like get your hand down to nothing and then, well, I hope I top deck that Uxie that I put to the bottom of my deck. Oh wait, you have one more Uxie, but still. So Trevor's got the second water here, and he's able to put the Psychic on the Toxicroak. I think that's definitely decent. He's prepping for the knockout next turn, which means, he might just hit me for 50s here. He's probably going to hit me for 50 and then 10 snipe on the Duskull. And then, the math with Toxicroak adds up great because it means that he's hit for 50. And then next turn, the Toxie comes up and hits for 70. And that's a knockout. So, super clutch. Oh, yeah. 60 damage and then base damage and then 70 from the poison. So we're going to go for a Roseanne and a Poketurn. No energy, which means he's got all the energy in his hand, which is really good. I mean, where else do you want it? Trevor's in a pretty decent position right now. He's probably going to just be chilling. And so, yeah, he goes for the 50 and the 10 snipe on the Duskull with Palkia's second attack, whatever the name of that attack is. I haven't played Palkia Lock enough to know all the attacks and abilities. I played it maybe like twice, but it's one of those decks where it's like it's a little bit grindy to play against because you have to deal with ability lock all the time, and that's just like it can be fun. Like I'm having fun in this game, but it's also like, oh, so I only have one card in my hand. I'm not even able to take the KO, which is kind of unfortunate. Really wanted to take that. Even in this situation, I mean, like, it's so bad because Trevor's just going to Poketurn the Palkia, and then I'm going to be like, well, this is great. Really not what I want right now, but yeah, the Raichu as well. Oh, and the Raichu's actually going to kill because he's just going to go Poketurn. Wow, what a great play from Trevor. He's going to Poketurn the Palkia, take all that damage off, which definitely sucks for me, but c'est la vie. That's what happens when you're playing against SP Pokemon and you don't knock them out. Then they just heal all their damage and go back to the hand. Pretty cool. Definitely a really cool mechanic. So yeah, he's going to go drop that energy gain on the Raichu and hit for the knockout. It does 30 plus 10 for each damage counter on your opponent's bench Pokemon. So 30 plus 10 is 80 plus 60 is 140, and Kingdra's got 130 HP, so he's going to get KO'd there. At least I didn't get ability lock, so I finally get abilities. Yeah, okay, classic power spread of the hand. And then the scoop up, the clutch scoop up. Oh, do it again. Oh, he did it again. Oh, that feels so bad. So yeah, So you're just going to hit the Raichu for 30. Counting Song on the Raichu. Really not what you want right now. Double Power Spray. Ugh. That's what happens when you give SP so many turns to set up. They just like load their hand with Power Sprays and Poke Turns and have the answer to everything that you do, which is kind of unfortunate. And I decided not to Counting Song just because I don't, it doesn't kill without Counting Song, but if I Counting Song, then the Raichu can kill, and I really don't want the Raichu to kill. I want to be you always want to be forcing your opponent to hit the cards that they don't have instead of just being like, if I do this, then it puts you in a board position where you don't need to hit cards, and it's like, that's bad. If I don't Counting Song, then he has to, hit something. I don't even know if neither of his attacks knock me out, which is super clutch. If he hits like a Crobat, he can do it, but may as well force him to hit the Crobat. Actually, I think Duskull's 60, so I think it's like, just like, may as well not put the third down, because then I just get knocked out by the base damage, and that's pretty bad. So this is the water attached on the Palkia, loading up with the Palkia, just for another threat. I mean, as soon as he gets waters enough on that Palkia, he can just, Psychics, he's going to Bronzong and move the Psychic too, which I think is great, because it just means he's one turn away from attacking now, which is pretty solid. And so, if he has the energy gain, he might actually just be able to do it, which he probably does. And there it is. Yep. So he's going to level X, and then he's also going to energy gain. And that's going to be the KO on Duskull and dropping 10 on the Uxie. Woof. Kind of in a rough spot here, but what a good top deck. Oh my god. Literally no cards in hand. Top deck the Luxury Ball for another Ux. If this gets Power Sprayed, this is going to feel real bad if that happens. Trevor's got one more Power Spray. If I Power Sprayed this last Uxie, if he Power Sprays this last Uxie, I'm just kind of done in rings. But yeah, so we'll see if he's got the Power Spray in his hand. I don't remember seeing it, but he might have had it sneakily hidden somewhere in there. Yeah, no, he didn't have it. Okay, cool. Clutch. We take those. 6, 7. And I got the other Luxury Ball too, which means if I can hit the Kingdra combo, then I have the option to discard the Luxury Ball because I've already used the Luxury Ball. Seadra, Kingdra. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. Big money. I was thinking about, maybe playing 4-4-4 just because Seadra is so good. And, Rare Candy's really good too, but also, hitting the Seadra is all you really want to do with this deck. But it's just, there's so many better cards. It's just like playing a thicker Claydol line. I think there's just, lots better to do. So I go for the Water Attach on the Ux, and then I Psychic Restore for 20. Kind of irrelevant. Really would have liked to have the Warp Point here. Although a Switch would have even been better, but this deck doesn't really play Switch, so kind of unfortunate there. He's got options with the Warp Point too. He probably just would have put the Bat up, and then the Bat wouldn't have died, and then he could have Poketurn the Bat. He's just got lots of options. But hitting it and getting the Uxie back is good. It means that I used, because I Luxury Ball for that last Ux, so I get to maybe use it again. And I don't have a Claydol right now, so having that Uxie draw is kind of keeping me alive right now. If I didn't have that second Uxie in the deck from when I Psychic Restored earlier, I just would have been screwed from the double Power Spray, and then I just would have bricked out of the game probably. But not the case because Psychic Restore, dude. It just happens to be working out this game. So Trevor's going to go for a Roseanne's Research. Really solid card. I think that's probably one of the best cards in this format. It's definitely the best supporter card, I think. So Mr. Vis and an Unknown G. Just kind of thinning here probably because those aren't really cards that he wants to draw. Not really a useful card in this matchup. Miss Magius, more of a tech against Mewtwo level X, but if you don't want to top deck them, you may as well have them in your hand, and then you don't have to worry about top decking them the next turn. So, yeah. He's got a decent looking board position here. Definitely a much favorable board position to mine. He's still got the Raichu on the bench. As soon as if I bench more Pokemon, he just hits me with the Palkia, and then the Raichu can potentially one-shot my Kingdra. So I have to be really careful with how many bench Pokemon that I drop. Otherwise, I can just, get triple or quadruple sniped, and then the Raichu starts one-shotting my Kingdras for 1, which is not clutch at all. When your Kingdra gets one-shot by Raichu, that's when it can get bad for sure. So, what was the I don't know what card he played that required the scoop up. The Leap Boy. He was Leap Boy. Yeah, that's what it was. Because he wanted to keep the Toxicroak in his hand. Definitely would have been clutch, but what are you going to do? Sometimes you just have to open up your bench, and he really wants to do that. And he puts the G down, and then uses the G as a tool, and then makes it a tool, so Mr. Vis can't get affected by any effects of attacks, not including damage, so the Kingdra can still snipe it. I don't think I'd even want to snipe it. I probably want to hit the Raichu just so I can hit it with a one-shot if I need to do that. So Trevor does have the second water attach, and he does also have the Mesprit, so he's in a pretty, from the way long ago Mesprit, from the Azelf even, so he saved that all this time and just held on to his power sprays. Now he gets a really clutch turn where, you know, even if I have Claydol this turn, which I don't at all, but maybe next turn, then, you know, I wouldn't be able to hit it. So he's just doing a great job locking, and that's what the deck does really, really well. Yeah, definitely better to put the... okay, that's interesting. I like that for next turn. Yeah. Hold on to it for one turn and then, you know, force the last power spray. If he's got the last Cyrus for the last power spray, let him keep it. But you got to keep the Uxie from the first time, so likely doesn't have it unless he drew it over the last couple turns. And he's got a pretty sizable deck still, so not a bad idea. And especially when I just have the one Bebe search. I mean, I don't really have the option to get Baltoy and a Claydol with just a Bebe search. So for the Uxie, it's going to come into play again. So Psychic Restore being one of the attacks, it's saving the game pretty bad right now. So I'm thinking about Aqua Streaming. So Aqua Stream for 20. Big 20. And then next turn, if I'm able to get both of my Crobats, I can knock out. But really not what you want to be doing here, because if I don't hit that knockout, then Trevor can just poke a turn again, stalling me for another prize, which is just so much damage and turns wasted attacking into a Pokemon that got healed. Way too many to reasonably think that you can take this game after that. Like when you're absorbing like 3 hits per Palkia per Poke turn, the exchanges are like you're getting attacked like 8 times for every 2 times that you actually do damage, which is like when Palkia's attacking you, that's really not something that you can afford. So Trevor's got the Bebe search. He's gonna Bebe's for maybe the Miss Megas is just gonna thin some more. He might just be thinning. Might also be getting a draw card. You always got to be thinking with Palkia in your next turn, because you can just go for the Miss Meg, go for a thin, and also an attacking option. You know, never know what your opponent is going to do. I might be able to come back and have a bunch of Kingdras. I discard my Nightmane, so it's unlikely, but it's possible. And you just want to be prepared for that, because the Miss Megas can do damage based off the unknown G's on it and the energy gains. And if I drop unknown G's as well, then it'll be able to do more damage. So yeah, he's got even more water energy on that Palkia. I'm really not feeling so hot about this. 80 plus the 50 is going to kill on the Kingdra, which is also not great. Puts me in a kind of dicey board position here. Not really one that I want to be in. I don't really have a Horsey. I don't really have a lot of stuff. Palkia just is a really oppressive deck because it can shut down its opponents so hard with just Mesprit locking. Like Trevor was just able to hit Mesprit lock or Psychic Bind for like 6 out of 7 power tries. And so when you're able to do that, it's very oppressive. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of players chose this deck into Worlds, is they were like, well, you know, if I can just lock powers for enough turns, I can just win off the decks locking powers and just them not having Claydol and me sniping Claydol instead of like hoping that you have to hit good matchups, because you could just, oh, well, you're playing Claydol, well, I'm just going to kill it. And it's like, well, that's pretty good because everybody plays Claydol right now. So definitely an interesting choice for Worlds. Didn't do as well as some other things. I think it's got a worse matchup against Flygon and some other stuff, but it's like a pretty bad matchup against Flygon, actually. Rough. Can't win them all. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So this has been Palkia Lock versus Kingdra. Yeah, definitely not much you can do there. Trevor's got the other water anyway, so thanks so much for tuning in, and if you have any questions about the matchup of the deck, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to get to them, but thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.